Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Aries and the coronavirus. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Well, anyway, basically in this video, what I'm going to be talking about discussing is how I think Aries is in terms of how they deal with the coronavirus, this COVID-19 pandemic that's going on right now, and also how they may be impacted due to some transits they're experiencing. Now, first off, I want to talk about how they can be affected physically. I mean, of course, fevers, I believe headaches can be symptoms of the coronavirus, and of course, those are things associated with Aries in terms of health issues, debilitation. So those are sensitive areas for Aries. I'm sorry, sensitive areas for Aries as far as debilitations go and possible illnesses. Uh, this is something where also too, I mean, as far as the transits go, well, the 12th house is what's emphasized and highlighted right now for Aries as far as the Neptune transit in Pisces. So what Aries is, given that they're so, I mean, fearless and have so much fortitude and courageous, they feel they may be nearly invincible. Things they may see this like almost like this could be a very nebulous and unclear hidden adversary. 12th house is the house of hidden enemies. I mean, it could when you have transits there, things could be hidden from you that are enemies, and they could be something in disguise, or like a friend or something posing as somebody posing as a friend, really an enemy. But this is a situation where, when I'm talking about, you're talking about Neptune is connected, of course, with diseases. Pisces is associated with these diseases that cannot be eradicated or cured. And you have that, and you're talking about the 12th house being emphasized and highlighted. This is something which might be more hidden to Aries, so to speak, than it actually than to a lot of other people, because Aries, again, they might have that very confident feeling that they're nearly invincible and impervious to these kind of things, and they need to be careful. Even though they have very good recuperative powers and they have very strong energy and vitality, they have to understand too that this is something that they can still be affected by as well. And also too, I mean, for Aries, this could be something that might drive Aries figuratively crazy, because you're talking about the 12th house is the house of mental illness, but it might not literally drive them crazy, but something like this could drive them figuratively crazy. And they may, because Aries is so active and energetic, and they really can be very averse to some kind of confinement, because it means they can't go outside and do things, and they may be forced to do things more on an indoor level, more so than usual, and it might be difficult for them. And also too, that you're talking about isolation as well with this transit, and it could result, I mean, in the self undoing. Excuse me. Now, also too, um, Pluto is connected with viruses, and so Pluto being in Capricorn right now, the 10th house what would be emphasized and highlighted for Aries. Now, this is something for Aries where they may feel this very strong impact in terms of their career. There's a greater propensity for the dominant parent perhaps to get the coronavirus, because the 10th house is associated with that. The dominant parent is generally going to be the father. It could be something that might affect their stature in life, or some kind of, if they were driving toward some kind of position of authority or attaining success in something. This is where it might impact them very strongly at this time. Now, another thing too is that looking at Aries, I mean, in general, Aries has a very strong ability to combat and win. They will fight. If they happen to get this coronavirus, then they will be, I mean, given their combative nature, they will fight this thing with dogged effort. Their fearlessness, their courage, their valor and fortitude actually can really aid them in this kind of situation. They are pretty much everything but immune or averse to fear. And if they're involved in vaccine research, they will probably push very hard to get it done very quickly. This is something where, I mean, patience is certainly not a virtue for the zodiac sign Aries. They are very aggressive, very assertive. They don't want to waste time. They're not about procrastination. Aries, of course, could be very action oriented. Now, the thing about Aries is what we have to remember is that the danger with Aries is that they can be exceptionally impulsive and impetuous. They have to be careful. They make sure that they're taking their precautions. Sometimes Aries is in a hurry. I mean, they're in a hurry more often than most people with things, and because of their haste, they can sometimes forget things as a result, and that could be whether they want to put on some kind of glasses or goggles or wearing the surgical mask or what have you. This is something too. Aries also, of course, is very outspoken and forthright, and they will likely, Aries can be very forthright on these, on just about really virtually any issue, of course. And as far as the coronavirus COVID-19 goes, they can be as well. Now, CNN chief. He's the chief CNN chief medical correspondent Sanjay Gupta. He has an Aries moon, and there was one video I'd seen recently. I believe it was from the CNN video on YouTube, where he seemed very incensed and outraged regarding really basically America's lack of progress in terms of diminishing the coronavirus, in terms of the impact that it's had on people. And he thinks, in what he mean, and it all sounded like an acrimonious response to America really not taking the precautions that they really need to, and as a result, this thing could very well be escalating at this point in time. Now, the thing about this too is that Aries also, if Aries does contract the virus, the thing about Aries is they have a hard time being stagnant because they're so active and their energy level is very high. Aries often has a very exorbitant vitality and energy level, and they are ones that are not going, and they're not going to be discouraged. And really, if they get something like this, even if it takes a while for it to go away, they will not be readily discouraged or really set back too much by this kind of situation, unless of course they're like, obviously if they're in a hospital or in an ICU or something, they're in a situation where they're forced to be prohibited to some degree in terms of their actions, their movements, or what have you. And another thing, and Aries can have very good recuperative powers, so if they do get it, they're likely to bounce back from it a little bit quicker than most signs. Now, Aries too, the one thing you've got to remember about them is that they could become incensed and become angry easy. They could be provoked easy, but they're not people that are vengeful or vindictive. They're not about holding grudges for a protracted or prolonged period. So if something were to happen, if somebody inadvertently gave Aries this coronavirus, I mean, you say a friend or an acquaintance, and Aries might get upset about it if they feel, well, I know I got this from you, but they're generally not going to hold on to that anger for that long. But they probably will let you know that they didn't appreciate you, whether it was not taking your precautions or what have you, and wind up giving it to them inadvertently by accident or what have you. So that's pretty much what I want to say as far as Aries and the coronavirus goes. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.